Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has called for the removal or renaming of certain iconic monuments around D.C. Joining me now is the Secretary of the Interior, David Bernhardt, whose office oversees the protection of our national monuments. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us. What do you have to say to Mayor Muriel Bowser about what she wants to do, remove, rename, or relocate monuments?
Well, I was pretty clear that this was an outrageous suggestion that she received, and a few days later they said we didn't really mean remove or reconstitute. We meant, reinterpret. So the bottom line is the monuments that are part of the National Capitol Mall will remain in place, and they will stand for time immemorial, absent Congress taking some action otherwise, which would require an entire act of Congress to be signed in by the president. So they're here to stay. They're wonderful icons for the world, and they are beacons of hope to Americans worldwide, and they're going to stand free and tall.
President Trump recently said that once he put a 10-year potential jail sentence on damaging or vandalism to the monuments, it stopped. Is that an accurate assessment? Has the vandalism and the pulling down of statues stopped across the country, or are there still hot spots?
The president was really speaking in regard to federal monuments. And so what we did see is with the president's bold action, with very clear direction to us, to ensure that we are protecting the monuments, ensure that if a crime is committed and a monument is defaced or destroyed, we investigate that crime and then take our investigation to the Department of Justice and ask them to prosecute, and they prosecute to the full extent of the law. By providing that clear direction and then also sending the signal to the criminals and the destroyers of these precious items that a harsh penalty would be coming, we saw a marked drop, a precipitous drop in activity. And here's the reality. It's not jaywalking. You want to go to jail for 10 years or you want to do something more productive. And I think people decided to do other things. And so they've really avoided trying to take down our great national monuments.
Mr. Secretary, nothing works like a perp walk. Have you actually seen any perp walks? Has anyone been held accountable for the damage they've inflicted on our national monuments?
Well, here your statement is very accurate. Although I think it's you're from my generation, and I think it's a little outdated these days. And what we really have seen is, these folks are really good at using their phones and posting things on Facebook. And once they started to realize when we were heading after them, we actually have had criminals calling and saying, hey, I'm over here, come get me, because they knew we were hot on their trail and they left tracks that anybody could follow. And so we've been very clear that you're going to face a very severe penalty, and we're going to go after you criminally, we're going to go after you financially. And we're making that point, and people realize that. And so you've seen a marked knockdown. And I think what other communities need to do is make sure that they're enforcing their laws too, because I think people's behavior changes when they know that the laws are going to be enforced.
It was a Spanish-American philosopher, George Santayana, who said, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. What does that mean to you, sir?
Well, I think that is a very accurate statement. And the reality is, in our wonderful American experience, we have so many individuals that have made such incredible contributions to our society, whether it's in law, philosophy, art, and sports. And the president's perspective on this is not that we tear down memorials, each of which represents somebody's significant accomplishment, even though they may not be perfect individuals. None of us are. But his approach has been, look, why don't we tell more of the great American story? Why don't we develop more monuments? Why don't we erect monuments that show other perspectives, views, and experiences, all of which have contributed to the American story. And he directed us as a task force to come up with a plan to create a garden of American heroes. We have submitted a plan to him with some options of locations. He also suggested 30 plus individuals to be included initially, but gave us latitude to look for more potential statutory heroes to be included. And I sent a letter to all 50 governors, received wonderful comments back from many. We asked 1,900 county commissioners to send us ideas, and they have. And we even have an opportunity on our own website where folks can just propose people they'd like to see. We already have provided the president with a list of nearly 735 great American individuals, each of which could represent a wonderful American story in the Garden of American Heroes. We've done great things as Americans collectively, and we ought to build on that and recognize the great ideals that have led to the greatest nation on earth. And there's nothing wrong with celebrating and telling these stories. It's very important. It's important for our history. The other thing, Eric, to recognize is that each of these memorials was carefully placed after deliberation, often with great fanfare. And they meant a great deal the moment they were put up. For example, the Jefferson Memorial, which the mayor's task force thought should be removed, remediated, reconstituted. That memorial was actually pushed for, its biggest supporter was Franklin Delano Roosevelt in pushing for the need to have a Jefferson Memorial. And it's a wonderful and inspiring memorial. And so is the Washington Monument.
Sir, thank you very much for your time. Secretary of the Interior, David Bernhardt, appreciate your time. If you don't know this, get out to the national parks. It is amazing, an amazing system of gorgeous parks around the country. Some of the most amazing times you can have with the family. David Bernhardt, thank you so much for your time.